I'm going to call the order of the meeting of July 14, 2026 to order at 7:01 p.m. in the Selectmen meeting room at Town Hall. Selectman Gessler, would you lead us in the pledge?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Alrighty. In attendance tonight, we have, for the Board of Selectmen, myself, Dylan Dumont, Bob Gesford, Heidi Jacoby is excused, Zen Vergaropoulos, and Kimberly Allen. For staff, we have the Town Administrator, Mr. Sorensen, Fire Chief Tice, Development Services Director, Mr. Deeman will be joining us, Chief Assessor, Mr. Michaud, Benson Park Advisory Committee Chairwoman Susan Clement, School Board Liaison Heather Cook is excused, and our Executive Assistant Lori Weisgarber. At this time, I will open up our public input at 7:02 p.m. Does anyone in the audience wish to address the board on any issue which the board has control of at this time? If you do, please come on up, state your name and address for the record. Not seeing anybody jumping up. I will close the public input at 7:02. First up, we have recognitions, nominations, and appointments. We have no recognitions, but we do have a nomination. Stephen Prestak for the Benson Park Advisory Committee, seeking a one-member vacancy to expire in April of 2027. Stephen, would you come on up and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, my name is Steve Prestak. I've been a resident of Hudson for 5 years. I live at the Shepherd's Hill condo development, which is right across the street from Benson Park. I'm retired, spent 40 years as an environmental health and safety manager, and I started volunteering at Benson's 5 years ago. I acquired a garden. Susan was my point of contact, and since then I've picked up 2 more gardens, so I'm managing 3 gardens now at the park. I've also worked with the Friends of Benson Park with some of the events that they've put on, and worked in the store from time to time. I would like to join the team because I feel I could contribute more to the development and beautification of the park. One of my jobs in environmental health and safety was industrial hygiene. Part of that was lead abatement, and we have a lead abatement project scheduled, and I know quite a bit about that, so I think I'd be able to help quite a bit on that project.
Fantastic. Do we have any questions or comments from the board members? Selectman Gessford?
Have you attended meetings before, the meetings themselves, or
The advisory?
the actual committee meetings?
Yeah, I've been to 1 or 2 of them. It was last year.
Okay.
And on that point, you're aware of the meeting times, and you'd be available for those for the foreseeable future?
Absolutely.
All right. Any other questions or comments? No. All right, well, I just want to say I really appreciate you stepping up and volunteering. It's a lot to ask of anybody, so thank you very much for doing that. Looking forward to working with you. What we typically do at these meetings is we take it under advisement. We'll have a formal vote at the following meeting. Like I had mentioned to you, you're more than welcome to attend. If not, the executive assistant will send out that notification to you and what that verdict is at the following meeting.
Great.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for stepping up.
All right, we have no appointments. Next up is consent items. Does any member wish to remove any item for separate consideration?
No.
Do we have a motion to approve? Selectman Vergaropoulos?
Second?
I gotta make the motion.
Sorry.
But thank you.
Yes.
She has a time she's trying to
Yes,
put it
yes,
back.
I think so.
I make a motion to approve consent items 6, A, B, C, A through F.
Motion to approve 6A through F. Do we have any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next up is old business, policy subcommittee purchasing contracts. We need to hold a public hearing on this, so at this time, I will recognize Mr. Sorensen, and then I will open it up after he gives us a quick brief.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is regarding Chapter 98 of our municipal code. As the board's well aware, we discussed this, I think, at the last 2, maybe 3 meetings. We did quite a bit of amendments. As part of RSA 41:14-B, as prescribed, we need to have 2 public hearings once we have the current ordinance in form, which we do. We also published this in the National Telegraph last week, so that publishing has been taken place already. No action tonight other than holding the public hearing, and we will adopt this at the next meeting. At the next meeting, there'll be obviously a chance for the public or anyone else to speak on the matter again.
Okay. Questions or comments from the board before we open it up? Selectman Vergaropoulos?
No, sorry, I'll ask after, sorry.
All right, so at this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing on the policy subcommittee's purchasing contracts at 7:07 PM. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to step forward and speak on this? Again, not seeing anyone, I will close it at 7:07 PM. Selectman Vergaropoulos.
Thanks, sir. I was just gonna ask, Roy, you're gonna send that invite out once you get everybody's consensus for the policy meeting?
Correct. So we'll be covering we have a separate item tonight from formal policies, and yeah, we'll send out this subcommittee for next week. Correct. Yep.
Yeah, the edits that we talked about last time, great, so.
Yeah, I think the board staff did a great job on it. So once it's final, I know that the department heads are excited about it. It's going to help us run, I think, more efficiently.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Sure. All right, any other questions or comments?
Nope.
No action needed at this time. We're going to roll into new business. Assessing Department update. Mr. Michaud.
Good evening, board members. Glad to be here today. Before I start, happy Bastille Day to all the Francophones that are out there, July 14th, even though France lost in the World Cup.
Fortunately, they did.
So this is a skinny version, right, of a department update. We did one last year, and you'll notice some of these slides are really quite similar. Without further ado, I just click away here, Roy.
On the left, yep.
There it is. So organization chart, it's a small department. Myself, Jim Michaud, Chief Assessor, Mike Rotas, Deputy Assessor. He's been here since just prior to COVID started. And then Amy McMullen, Administrative Aide. She has been here 23 years. She was here part-time and then became full-time in the last 10 years or so. So moving forward, the mission statement is similar, same as last year. Mission of the Assessing Department, perform our duties in a courteous and professional manner while ensuring fairness and equity. We will comply and do comply with all applicable state of New Hampshire statutes, administrative rules, Town of Hudson policies regarding specifically tax assessments, abatements, exemptions, and credits. We want to, and hopefully do, impartially treat every property owner with fairness and equity, provide the public with the highest level of service and professionalism, and maintain a staff with the highest level of technical expertise. SWOT analysis, we're familiar with that acronym, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And we want to go through these one by one, starting with strengths. Assessing personnel, we talked all about this last year as a department, and we talked about it again this year as I'm doing the PowerPoint. And, where are we strong? And really, it's the number of years of education experience the 3 members of the department have, but also our external resources, right? Our public utility consultant has been here since 1992. And we also have a great relationship with the town attorney, with Dave Lefevre, as well as other staff throughout town hall. Let's see. So expert knowledge and certification. We stay up to date on assessing laws and rules knowledge. Strong administrative cross-department relationships, right? So we work closely with the tax collector's office. We also work closely together with the Development Services Division and the Inspectional Services Division of the Hudson Fire Department. And also finance, right? So, we don't have a lot with recreation or police per se, right? But that's our nexus, those 4 areas. Strategic alignment, we have, as I mentioned before, our public utility consultant, Georgie Sansu, CPE, LLC. It's more than just him, right? He has a staff. And then I talked about the cross-department collaboration for strengths. Weaknesses might be on every department's PowerPoint analysis for department updates. Budget constraints, right? So funding is not unlimited. And One example I have here is a town-wide boots on the ground remeasure and relist of real estate. We finished our last one around 2020, and that's a lot of money to go out there and do that house by house. And we've been constrained in our budget from doing that. We also have weaknesses, at least in the past, was GIS improvements. We didn't have staff for that. Now we're going to have staff starting on January 1, 2027. That's going to really benefit all the town operations, and I anticipate it's going to help the assessing department as well. Weaknesses, in some degree, legislative support. I don't think everybody's really clued into going up to Concord and reaching out to legislators and reaching out and saying how legislation is going to affect their particular department. I'm active on that, but there's a lot up there that impacts municipalities, and it's really good to have department heads and personnel paying attention to what's going on in Concord. Weaknesses, legacy system integration. Well, that's going to be changing, right? So that's our MuniSmart, which is not just our tax collection software, but for assessing, that's the most important one for us besides the budget module. And it's outdated, upgrades are not being done, but software support is provided, so we're moving on to that. Going to move on from that, which is great. Opportunities. So emerging technologies, right? Using aerial imagery combined with change detection software, acquisition and implementation. That would be excellent to have, and then we'd be able to send out focused data collection, like how did that house grow, or where did that pool come from, things like that. And change detection software would allow us to focus our data collection activities out there. They're talking about using AI, right, artificial intelligence and machine learning tools to conduct reassessments. Right now it's basically in the draft mode or beta mode, but I was at a recent conference, and there are communities and counties and jurisdictions that are going to end up using AI to supplement how they normally do reevaluations. Let's see. GIS staff position, that's a great opportunity right there. And then public education, right? So what is it about assessing? And it's not something that a lot of people think about, right? So police, fire, public works, trash pickup, they're much more familiar with that. So we do have a video that is up on our town website, and we're going to play that now, and there it is.
So there's a lot of misunderstanding about the role of assessors and how they affect the property tax that homeowners pay. When someone hears the term assessor, they seem to think of a scary figure reaching for their wallet. Not so. Assessors don't set tax rates. Assessors don't chase tax dollars. An assessor is interested in fairly determining property values, and they take great pride in it. Property tax is determined by a simple formula. Assessors only affect one of these variables, the value. And they do so with incredible accuracy. Assessors aren't tax collectors or even tax setters. They're just fellow taxpayers, and their primary goal is to make everything fair and equitable. Imagine that you're in a restaurant with two friends. One orders a hot dog, one orders a plate of caviar, and you order a steak. The waiter comes to the table with a total bill of $100, but he doesn't know how much each of you should pay. If everyone paid the same amount, the guy who ordered the caviar might be happy. But what about the guy who ordered the hot dog? Enter assessors. The food is your property. Just like these meals, some people's property is worth more than others. And it's the assessor's job to determine how much each property is worth. That's it. So in the same way the value of these menu items would need to be determined, an assessor places value on properties to ensure fairness and equity. After the assessor determines the value of each property, local governing bodies will set their budgets for the coming year. They set the tax rate in order to produce the dollars needed for their budgets. The value of a property does not affect the amount of property tax needed. The sum total of all those budgets is a set number that has to be divided up among all the property owners. So even if everyone's value was cut in half by the assessors, the tax rate will be raised in order to generate the same amount of tax revenue. The assessors don't determine the taxes you pay. They just determine the values of properties to keep everything as fair and equitable as possible. When you notice a change in your property's assessed value, that change is the result of a never-ending quest for fairness and accuracy. Assessors are graded on their performance, so there is a detailed system to get accurate valuations. First, the assessor looks at similar properties that have sold, their sale prices, and the terms and conditions of each sale. That's the reason your home won't just be compared to the place next door. Studying things like square footage, age, and location helps assessors determine how comparable another property is to yours. Even seemingly small details, like an extra bathroom or finished basement, can result in significant differences in value in two otherwise identical homes. Assessors maintain a thorough database of real estate information to make this process as precise as possible. Changes in value are typically the result of local real estate market sales or major changes to a property. Remodel a kitchen or finish your basement, and your property's value could increase. When you see your home's assessed value, you can rest assured that the number has not been drawn out of a hat, nor generated with anything but equity and accuracy in mind. Long story short, assessors are here to help, not trying to hinder. Their focus is accurate values, not tax collection. The only things an assessor chases are fairness and equity, and they take great pride in it.
So that is a fairly generic explanation about the assessment process. IAAO, International Association of Assessing Officers, put this out there for use by municipal jurisdictions over 10 years ago. So it's on our website. I don't know how many people view it, but maybe more people will see it now. The last part of SWOT is threats, which I will go to.
Oh, let me do it, Jim. There you go.
Thank you. So changes in tax laws, right? So that can impact how we're going to be able to do our job in the assessing office. Succession planning. There's a lack of qualified assessing personnel, not just in New Hampshire, but certainly in New Hampshire. It's affecting the state, the Hampshire Department of Revenue Administration. It's also affecting municipalities. So, here I think we have somebody that's going to succeed me, that's already here, and that's great. And we just, when somebody goes to replace our administrative staff, we want to be able to bring somebody in that's going to be able to work within our assessment processes. External pressures, right? Do a reval, people are upset, social media goes ballistic, and that can increase pressure, right? That can be a threat to the department in the sense of, some negativity. Cybersecurity threats, chalk this up for every department. And economic downturns, right? So I've been through the cycle a couple of times as an assessor, not just here. And when you have an economic downturn, people appeal more. Your fiscal outlays, your abatement overlay fund increases. You end up doing more abatements. People focus on every dollar a little bit more keenly when you have an economic downturn. Some generic information here. Assessing budget snapshot, 1.26% of the overall town budget is assessing, about $500,000. It's mostly all labor, right? In-house professional labor, 76%, external labor, 21%, and 3% all other. So we don't have a lot of capital equipment, but we have human capital. This is also up on our website, property statistics, some tax rate analysis. This goes back about 12 years. You look on the right column, first row. So our net assessed value for 2025, $5.1 billion, is double what it was down in the bottom right-hand corner from 2013 of $2.5 billion, right? So this is not unique to Hudson. Certainly anywhere in southern New Hampshire would see this kind of relationship build up over the last 12 years. Also on our website, valuation statistics. This lists a net assessed value for the last 12 years, 13 years, and what a change in assessed value was 1 year over the next, right? So we picked up almost $94 million in value from 2024 tax year to 2025. That's our tax rate, and then there's our assessment ratio, which is a comparison of assessments to market value, what values are being paid out in the market. Obviously, in reevaluation years, I asterisk those. Those are changes in the value of property because we're restoring our assessments to market value. But in the tween years, that's growth in value, right? New construction, new buildings, new site plans, new subdivisions. In terms of what percentage of our tax base is residential, it's 77%. Utility is 3%, and commercial industrial is 20%. And you could run this for the entire state, for every single community using public data, right? So this is all public information. Portsmouth is going to have a much higher percentage of commercial industrial. Maybe something like Hill would be like 99.9% residential, right? So the state has a wide variety of communities and a wide variety of tax-based components. We have one tax rate that applies to all property except for public utility. So the same tax rate for you and me and for, the new T-bones, right? So it's same tax rate, different values, same tax rate. So other states might have different tax rates to different classes of property. This state does not, except for public utility. So this is about Target, right? The Target site valuation history. This is the largest construction project in New Hampshire history, right? And this will be the largest building built in New Hampshire history to date. And we go back in time to when the last year there was a golf course or two golf courses. We have an assessed value. We have the tax rate from that year, from 2022, how much taxes came in from that site. Go forward 1 year, and now that Target site plan has been recorded. They paid a lot of money for it. And of course, we have a really significant change in assessed value on that site. And now we say, well, how much in taxes are coming from that property? 1.6 million in that year. And what was the change over the prior year when it was a golf course? About 1.5 million. And then we go forward. In 2024, site work begins. Now the assessed value goes up from 100.5 to 110.6 million. Much of the site work occurred after our assessment date of April 1st of 2024. That's why you wouldn't have seen that much for that year. In 2025, we definitely see quite a bit more because of that site work. And then in 26 is when the building is actually there, right? So the shell was actually there for April 1st of this year. That shell of a building was not there for April 1st of 2025. So we have a really significant change in assessed value. And I've inferred something about the tax rate just to get to a point of comparison on property taxes billed and as if property tax change year over year. Reval year, we don't know what the number is going to be. 28, we don't. 29, Target is projected that they will be completed and operating that building for 2029. That's the taxpayer's projection, right? That's not mine. I got that from them. And then I look back in time. What was the planning board told about this property in a fiscal impact analysis statement from the developers, experts that they hired, RKG Associates? And we're already exceeding what they had estimated then. The building's a little bit is smaller than what it was originally projected to be. So it's important to understand that this is not additional taxes. We do not get additional taxes with new construction. We get additional tax base that allows us to spread the budget out over a bigger base, and it mitigates tax rate increases, if not outright lowers the tax rate, right? But because our assessed value of the whole town at $5.1 billion, it takes an enormous amount of value to make it so the tax rate doesn't move at all. So while this is a significant part of our tax base, this is our number one property taxpayer in the town. They achieved that status in 2025. They exceed the public utility in terms of the amount of taxes that come in from public utility. So this is a big horse, right, in our tax base. And we certainly anticipate there'll be additional value changes as they go ahead and improve the interior of the building and finish the site. We do have our appraiser, the same one for public utility property, who's under contract to do the reassessment for next year as well. So, and that'll be a reval year. So that's it for Target.
Jim, real quick.
And I'm going to wait for any questions that come up.
Yeah, so real quick, so just based on an average, not even, I guess, that site in particular, but to go back to your point, so obviously we're only collecting a certain amount of funds. Whatever that budget may be for that year is what we're collecting. Would it be fair to say that this example would have shifted the burden from a residential perspective or leaning more towards commercial? I understand that no matter what, we still have a significantly larger portion of residential, but it would at least be fair to say that that burden is shifted in that direction?
Yes. It definitely is true to say that. It is important to understand the scale of our value to begin with.
Yes, yep.
It would take 5 times that to really, really move the needle by, we're talking 10 or 15 cents on the rate.
Right.
And we're not there. But it definitely, that site doesn't send, I love school children. I have 2 kids, right? So I love kids. That site doesn't produce any kids.
Right.
So in terms of a loss leader, that we're not losing expenses on that property compared to, a property that's going to send 2 or 3 kids to school. And of course, that only happens for a certain amount of time anyways. But, in terms of what's it costing us in terms of physical dollars, right, for that property, it's different than a neighborhood than if it was like 500 homes.
Sure,
right?
yeah, each use obviously has a different cost impact on the town.
That's right. That's right. And there's pluses and minuses that go beyond just, fiscal numbers, so I'm not going to not state that. So goals and objectives, we have continued monitoring and involvement in the new Eversource Public Utility Transmission Valuation Tax case. We just got done with our distribution value, so the electric company's property that you see in the street, that's distribution. The transmission lines, the big lines that cross David Drive and Lund Drive, et cetera, that's transmission, right? So we're in a court case on that with a number of other communities, and we've got experts hired for that. But we're going to obviously be involved in that. We have the reevaluation for next year. Our 2 contractors are hired for that. In terms of later into this fall, into the next town meeting, we anticipate possible warrant articles to increase the dollar value of the exemptions in regards to elderly, disabled, and blind exemptions. Why is that? Well, we anticipate that the reevaluation is going to change assessed values fairly significantly, and we have traditionally tried to track the exemption amounts for those stated categories to kind of keep pace with the increase in value. A lot of communities do that. We're not alone in that. And then also a continuing warrant article, capital reserve for future property reevaluation fund, so we can continue to put money away for the next reevaluation after 2027. That's the presentation.
And could you just speak to, at that last point, I know we've talked about it as a board, but I think it's just important to highlight and explain the requirement of those reevaluations. I know some people may think, well, let's just not do it and keep things the same.
That's a great point. Thank you for the question. So Constitution requires and state law, statutory law requires a reassessment at minimum once every 5 years. Mm-hmm. And that's enforced by the Department of Revenue. They will bring and have brought communities in front of the New Hampshire Board of Tax and Land Appeals for a show cause hearing to order a reassessment upon a community. And when they do that, they don't just order the reassessment, they also load the money directly into the tax rate for that year. The Budget Committee doesn't do it. You don't do it. We don't have any control over it. They hire the contractor, and we say, okay.
Right.
It's rare. It did happen in Sandown when we first went through this requirement process. So it was always in constitutional law, just wasn't enforced by the state. And then after the Sorrell decisions and the Claremont decisions in the early 90s, in the late 90s, I should say, into the early 2000s, that's when the whip was cracked and communities started getting on that schedule of once every 5 years, if not oftener, right? So some communities, very few, do it more often than once every 5. So this year, Manchester's going through it, Salem was going through it, Concord, I heard the notices hit in Concord as well, so our turn will be next year. Merrimack is this year as well. So it's a requirement.
Selectman Guessford, thank you.
Yeah, so and just in terms of the timing of all that, so once the assessment is completed, when will our taxpayers begin to see that impact?
So they'll be mailed a notice of preliminary valuation in the summer of next year, probably in that August timeframe, and nobody will know the rate, and because it's impossible to know the rate at that point. And in terms of impact, they won't know the impact until we have the rate, and we're not going to get the rate till like November. So the focus when we send out a notice of preliminary value is focus on value. I can't tell you anything about taxes. I can't even do anything about taxes. I don't change a tax rate because somebody comes in.
Yeah.
I don't say that property should pay $7,000, that should pay $8,000. I say that property is around $500,000 in value. This one's around $400,000. We talk value.
Sure.
So
Yep.
it's always difficult to send out the notice and not be able to give a tax rate.
Right.
But I can't give something that's inaccurate, and then
And
it's
to
gonna be
speak to that a little more, the reason why, obviously, who sets the tax rate, if you could explain that.
Yep, thank you for the question. So the Department of Revenue Administration formally sets the tax rates for every community in the state. They assemble hundreds of bits of information, Department of Education. the county, the school district, Town of Hudson. And they have to run all these calculations in order to make sure that the county is collecting what it should collect properly, in order to make sure that we're collecting enough money for the school to meet their budget, that we're collecting enough money to meet the town budget. So it's pretty involved. It's become much more digitized in the last 10+ years, which was great. We used to have to physically go up there, and so now we do it electronically. And that there's a reason, right? Because we don't set the rate; the Department of Revenue does, but we participate in that whole process. And that's heavily dependent on finance, town administrator, tax collector, myself, and obviously the school side and the county side.
One reason why I did bring that up is obviously we have no control over that time frame, right? We've gotten the rate earlier, we've gotten it later. There's been variations. I know that can be frustrating for a taxpayer when they're expected to pay the estimate and then hoping sometime by December they have a more hard figure, and that hasn't always been the case.
That's correct. There's items that happen up in Concord. Department of Education participation in this process is very important. And if something's going on in that department and they can't get the numbers in the DRA, everybody's waiting for that. If you have some communities within the county that are late getting their numbers in, the county can't set their rate either, can't have their tax rate set either. So it's many different things that have to go right, and when one of them doesn't, you just got to wait and say, if there's anything I can do, let me know. And they're like, no, it's on somebody else's side. So
Hold your nose. All right. Any other questions or comments?
No.
Awesome update. Thank you very much, Jim.
thank you,
Jim.
board members.
Jim, great job.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Benson Park Advisory Committee Safety Concern. I will recognize Mr. Sorensen. We also have the chair with us here as well.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Susan Clement, who's the chair of Benson Park Advisory Committee. Susan, if you could just come up. You see attached to my cover letter is from Susan herself, talking about some issues in there. We did put together some pictures that were sent today. Do you
Yes.
have this, Susan? Do you have one? Can you-
I sent it in email.
Yeah.
And I know that there was another letter that was also sent to the both of us. I'm not sure if those are the pictures.
So these are the photos you had sent
Those are the
today.
ones that I
If-
sent,
If you
yeah.
want to kind of walk through those photos for the board. But ideally, I think what the discussion is going to be centered around is the actual entrance and then the inlets and outlets of the other activities once you get into the park. Does that sound pretty accurate? So I'll turn it over to you now.
So, in the letter that I had written to you concerning, this would be the second time that we've kind of brought up that safety, is a concern coming in and out of the park. And for this particular reason, that I have been in contact with the niece of the gentleman who was recently in an accident. And, their family strongly believes that additional safety measures are needed at the park entrance and exit to help prevent future accidents. So what we're thinking is the Benson's Park Advisory Committee, we all agreed that caution signs, pedestrian crossing, and if you look at the pictures, I tried to I'm gonna come in here and view it as I'm driving into the park. And if you look at, I think it's like the second one in on the flip side, you can see where when you first come into the park, you see a sign that says, go to the right, for the senior center. But you can't see the dog park at all. If you have never been to this park, you would not know that there's a dog park over there. And people cross back and forth to the larger parking lot. There are a few spaces in front of the dog park, but they cross back and forth there. That was a big concern, because there was an accident there as well that we were informed of. And below that, you can see there are a bunch of parked cars. So when they're backing up, they can't see going up the, because it's like a hill. They can't see up. So in backing and somebody's coming down, right there, that's a problem. Speed is a problem. You have a lot of people entering and exiting this one entrance and exit people coming to the right, as you can see the sign there, going into the senior center. When they leave the senior center, they have to, make sure they're looking to make a turn, but if somebody comes into the park, enters in, that is another area where there could possibly be a collision. Such as, I don't know all the information on the gentleman that was struck, but I do know that it had something to do with somebody exiting the park and him coming up. Our feelings are that there are cheap ways, we had asked for before, like a speed bump, and my thought is, if you look at the picture, the speed bump could be, there's a picture of a sign there. I think the sign there says no overnight parking. Right about where that sign is just beyond the entrance to the senior center. That, I think, would be a great area to have, and it doesn't have to be a permanent speed bump. You can get those little, they have them everywhere. It's just like a little tar thing. So in the winter, if they needed to remove them, that, they could remove them as well. But something that, could be there that would slow people down, and then a sign that says, pedestrians, crossing caution. There could also, another thing that we had thought about would be, just like a crosswalk with signs that come from, you can see where the entrance when they leave the dog park and if they're gonna be crossing over. Anything to make people more aware. But it's getting more busy on that road, on Kimball Hill Road, and we've talked about that before. And I don't know, did you receive the letter from Tina and Larry Keenan?
I don't believe so.
So I don't know if it's okay if I can read this, or do you want me to just discuss it, her letter?
Was it sent to you as the chair?
It was sent to me and
Yep.
to Mr. Sorensen,
Go
but
ahead and read it.
my husband and I live in Hudson, across the street from Benson's Park. We are seniors in a large development with many young families, residents of all ages, from our community at Shepherd's Hill, as well as residents from Hudson, neighboring communities, and outside state visitors. Visit the park daily, year-round. Today, we witnessed a young mother with a stroller and a toddler trying to cross Kimball Hill Road in order to get from Shepherd's Hill to Benson's Park. It is a daily struggle for us to cross there safely to walk a dog. We would like to request the crosswalk or beacon be placed by the entrance of the park, and she had sent pictures, so I assumed you had the pictures as well, but she had sent pictures. And if you're familiar, there's like this little ramp where it comes down, and
Emergency
they
exit.
cross right there to the upper entrance to the park. And again, I don't see why we couldn't put something there people fly up and down that road, to just have it be aware, that people are crossing. Because I see kids on their bikes cross the road there, coming from Shepherd's Hill. And so she had mentioned that, let's see. We'd like to request a crosswalk beacon be placed at the center of the park. We spoke to Elvis, help me with his last name. Dima, thank you. We had spoke to Elvis Dima, the town engineer in Hudson Hall in District 5, who told us that Kimball Hill Road is a state road and not a town road. He suggested that we contact DOT for assistance to inform us on how to proceed and get a crosswalk for this dangerous stretch of road. My husband, is a cancer patient, recovering, blah, blah, blah. I hope you would give the situation your very best. So I guess she had tried to do this about 5 years ago. But I see it every day. I do live off of Bush Hill. I cross Bush Hill to go over to the park, and that's busy now. So I really strongly feel, based on all three incidences and all three things, and just hearing from people entering and exiting the park, that we need to do something. And we haven't done anything. There's no signs. indicating to slow down. There's no signs that say anything like that. There's nothing there to help people crossing the road from, help me with, Shepherd's Hill.
Yeah.
And I know, Steve, he comes across that way as well, to help out in the park. Mostly he ends up driving over because he's a little nervous crossing over. But, based on, you can see these pictures, it shows you how it looks when you're going up out of the park. A lot of people probably don't know that the senior center is there. You need to be cautious coming and leaving in the park. So, again, I'll just say that I hope that this will be considered, and that something will be done, this year. I don't think that we should wait, any further, because, it's getting to be it's busy every day at that park.
All right, let's see, Mr. Deema, looks like you might have some information. Want to come on up?
So this matter was brought up to the Highway Safety Committee about 5 years ago.
Okay.
So the Highway Safety Committee consists of the chairman of the planning board, myself, the town engineer, public works director, police and fire. And the reason we were not able to entertain it at the time, it was because it's a state road. You cannot do anything on a state road without their approval. So they were sent back to the state to work with them. One of the issues that was also discussed during this matter is that we don't have the tendency to put crosswalks where there's no sidewalk on either side of it. There's no sidewalks there right now on either side of Kimball Hill. So this crosswalk, I'm not sure what it's gonna service. It's the Shepherd's Hill development, I guess, because there's no sidewalk along Kimball Hill. So that's the only side. So that's also an issue. There's also an issue during the winter. How do you maintain this, again, when you don't have a sidewalk? So that's a concern as well. Now, this very unfortunate, there was an accident there, and there's no dispute that speed is an issue there. And I think maybe if that get brought up at PD, that they can probably do some either patrolling, or we can put some speed radars. We have devices for that we can do that as well. But I feel like the best thing to probably do with this particular matter is bring this back to the Highway Safety Committee to consider and see if there's anything can be done. As far as the crossing itself, you're looking at $20,000 to $30,000 if the state approves it. We don't have any funds for that at this time that I'm aware of. So that's also something that needs to be discussed as well. It's not as easy as just going to Home Depot and getting a couple poles.
What about for the entrance and exit of the park?
So
Can we do something?
again, I think that needs to be looked
I
at.
would suggest, and I think you hit the nail on the head as far as I think that we need to have a larger discussion for that. I definitely would agree with Susan that there's something that needs to be done. Obviously with the accident that's happened there, and I think we all know Kimball Hill Road. I mean, it's marked at 40. I'm sure people go 50, 60 miles an hour by that place. So I would agree, I think something needs to be done, but I think it'd be more appropriate, whether that be at the Highway Safety Committee, but we can designate the town administrator to work with appropriate staff to make sure that happens and try to take this to the next level. One thing that might be worthwhile, because I was thinking funding as well, if there's a possibility of a public-private partnership with the Kimball Hill Association that's over there, because that'll be the primary group that'll be servicing if something was to be done. That might help speed up the process. But again, I think that those are the conversations that would be more appropriate outside of this forum to make sure that happens. Get the right people in the room and see what we can do.
I mean, as for signs, is that a possibility? Just going down, slow down, or is that for something that?
Inside the park, right?
Inside the park, like
I think there
coming
might
down
be-
the hill, could we do a speed bump? Could we put a sign?
I think there might be
caution
some
sign?
other options there too. I mean, the one thing that you brought up in my mind is the blind spot for that dog park. There's a significant amount of brush right there. I think brush clearing would be huge. Just in my opinion, seeing it versus having somebody try to read a sign is better. I'm not against the sign either, but I think you need to make sure that people just know it's there. The best way to do that is try to remove some of that brush. I'm not against the sign issue either. Typically signage and stuff like that would be another thing that Highway Safety Committee definitely would be able to look at. Selectman Bergeropoulos?
Yeah, thank you. Along that point, if you're looking at the big picture, obviously you're looking at the dog parks on the left, parking's on the right. One idea that just came to my head was what if this would be relatively inexpensive. What if we reconfigure the entrance, and instead of coming down all the way this way, you have these nice giant boulders, you make a boulder there, you make the new entrance road down that way. Then that way, you'd have to come up, down and around to go to the dog park, but you'd be making it safer for pedestrian traffic. And you wouldn't have to worry about.
You have the senior center.
Yeah.
He's talking about after the senior
Yeah,
center.
after the senior center.
lower-
The only
below
thing that I
senior
will-
center.
Yeah, so you go below the senior center and in between the dog park, and you boulder it. That way you could come in, you could go right to the senior center, or you go left and you go to Benson.
So, a couple of points. So I do agree that that would slow people down. The other thing that I would, and I'm sure the town engineer can speak to a little bit better, obviously there's a grading issue over there. That side drops off significantly, so to get that road to that appropriate grade, you're gonna be dragging it out pretty far, and you're gonna lose a significant amount of parking to do that. But their parking is already an issue at Benson Park, so it's kind of a balance, right? We wanna make sure that we're not solving one issue and creating another. Open to looking at any alternate route like that. But again, I think that those longer discussions, and I would
Yeah, I was
imagine
just
they're
throwing
gonna
it
be.
out there, so
yeah.
it's maybe stuck in someone's head when we
Yep.
have those discussions later.
Yeah.
But short-term, you think that, cutting back the brush would be something that would
I
be
think that's
possible
that's
for
a quick,
short-term?
easy thing that could be looked at for sure. At least that way, like, it's not a blind spot.
See it.
People will know that it's there and hopefully be able to at least see it.
Yep.
And that's something that, obviously we have the equipment to take care of. Well, I don't want to throw the DPW director under the bus. He's not here to speak, so I want to make sure that Mr. Sorensen has the ability to talk to him before we 100% commit to it, but
Can I
that
sign that
was
to
the
him right
first
now?
thing.
You could probably watching.
Yeah.
You think it's permissible to possibly pull that one tree that's kind of out, it's kind of leading that brush pile?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
If you pulled that one and did the brush, I think that would be a significant improvement.
I agree.
So you can actually see the rear end of a car,
Yep.
down there.
Hopefully
Yeah.
you get better visibility.
I'd like to see if you can see that fence coming down the hill. It'd make me feel a little bit
Yeah.
better, so people know.
Yeah,
that
so like
it's an
that,
entrance.
at least at a minimum, that one tree, but maybe the one right behind it too, should give you a clear sight line to that fence.
Yep.
I agree.
Those details, yeah, again, that's part of the larger conversation.
Yeah.
Typically, I wouldn't do this, but the gentleman that is looking to join Benson Park Committee, I'll entertain, you have something you want to add briefly? If you don't, just come on up and state your name. Yeah.
Just two things. What the gentleman here stated. In terms of police increasing surveillance, I'm there quite a bit, and so are the police. They're kind of looking out at that road, so unless you're going to have somebody there 24 hours, I don't think that's going to have a tremendous impact over what they're doing right now. The second point, just because of my background, okay? I think you mentioned $20,000 to put in a crosswalk or something like that.
20 to 30.
20 to 30. What's a life worth? Somebody gets struck there.
No, I don't think anybody looks at that lightly. It's just
The thing is,
it's the
it-
budget issues. Yep,
$20,000 or $30,000 should not be the deciding factor, in my opinion.
sure. Point taken. Is there any other questions or comments?
No, good
All
points,
right.
though. Thank you for bringing it up.
I think that, like I said, I think it's appropriate. We need to have a larger discussion on this. I'm sure there's plenty, everybody has a different idea to what we think is best. I think we have a decent little interim solution to take a look at that brush while that's going on, and hopefully making it a little bit better. But,
The next thing would be to see what the DOT says and keep going down that road. I guess that's what I'm trying to.
for that person, I would definitely instruct them to contact the Highway Safety Committee as well as DOT.
Again,
The
okay.
the Hudson Safety Committee.
Hudson Safety, maybe they weren't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hudson Highway Safety Committee, but
Yes.
to Mr. Dima's point, there is only so much we can do on Kimball Hill Road, just because of ownership.
Yeah. Maybe we'll put some sidewalks in. I've always wanted that.
Oh, that's an even larger discussion.
So, at this point, I'd be looking for the motion that says that the town administrator hereby directs appropriate staff to look into the concerns brought forth by the Benson Park Advisory Committee regarding access to Benson's, including bringing back appropriate recommendations for future meetings.
So moved.
Moved by Selectman Gesford.
Second.
Seconded by Selectman Allen. Do we have any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
All right, next up is New Hampshire DES dredge and fill permit. Mr. Dima typically comes with us with some money. This time he's looking to spend some. So
Well, hopefully not. So, as you know, we've been working with the state on the necessary permits. You also know we're trying to follow the procedure that we need to get the 80% for the construction phase of this project. We're on the 10-year plan. So we've been working, I think, so far pretty well with the DS, but they're having a hard time getting over this fact that the area floods now and it'll flood in the future, even after we're done. And they were looking for additional information. So we had a good meeting. There was some follow-up. I requested the consultant to give us a scope of work and fee related to the additional information that's hopefully is going to help them make the decision. That additional information is going to require $80,000. So, being as frugal as this board is, I went back to the state and I said, you know, our intent is to do the right thing and get you the information you need to make the decision. But at the same time, here's the cost. So they were taken back a little bit by this additional cost related to the task they were asking. So we decided for your favorite here to draft and see if we can put the information together for them to see if they can make a decision. That has been done. It took about 8 pages and significant amount of backup. I'm waiting for them to give me feedback related to this is good enough, Elvis, you're all set. I have to stamp that when it's done. It's going to have to be my stamp on it, which is fine. And if that's the case, we don't have to spend this money. If that's not good enough, I'll have to get our consultant in to see what they need to do with hydraulic modeling. Things we need to look upstream, downstream. It's not going to change a thing. It's still going to basically come with the same outcome. But it's just probably more information that they feel comfortable enough to provide, you know, the permit for us, because we're going to need a couple waivers. So I'm hoping as of yesterday that maybe this 8-page memo with a backup, I call it the $80,000 memo, is going to do the trick. And if it is the case, tonight's motion would not have to be executed when it comes to finances, but if it does, then we'll probably spend up to that to get it done. So with that said, I will let the board know which way we go, but I went to the planning board last week, and I'm here in front of you tonight to ask you to approve the additional funds required, if required. And I will not execute this change order until I hear back from the state. They're saying, yes, your memo is good enough. No, you still need to do some work. And that's where we at. So with that said, I'll take any questions you might have.
First off, I want to remind you, it's not frugal, it's fiscally responsible.
That's right.
All
That's right.
That's the way this
That's
board
right,
operates.
yes.
Second of all, and I think, unfortunately, it seems to be a necessity, but in that same line of thinking, I would agree, I think it's a waste of money. I think that the information that you provided should be more than adequate enough. But you know, I get how it works if you want to proceed forward and if we want to try and take care of a safety concern. So
Yeah, and this
Well,
is
2
100% corridor funds, so this is not a taxpayer burden. But again, I rather spend the money from the corridors related to improvements, like construction related, versus additional permits. So we still want to get them in a good place so they can feel comfortable making the decision, but
Oh, no,
at
I
some
agree.
point you have to make a decision, right? So that's kind of where we at.
no, I agree. I just know that we have other improvements in that corridor that couldn't get done. So I look at that. I think the money could be better spent. But
Yes.
Selectman Rigoropoulos, go ahead.
Just a quick question about budgets. Are these 2 line items, are they shareable, or if not, do we have enough, like, that increase?
So
The total, when it comes out, is it gonna come out of Zone 1 and Zone 2? Is it or proportional, or is it all gonna come out of one zone because you can share?
it comes out of both zones. And the beautiful thing about this project is located on Low Road, so Low Road has access to Zone 1 and Zone 2. So I would use whatever I need
So
between
essentially,
zone.
it's one, just due to location.
That's exactly it. So to simplify this, you have about $1.2 million there available that you can utilize. So let's just say we use 183, you can still utilize the 900.
Okay.
But I would probably keep it,
Split it.
split it 50-50, so I still have funds in Zone 1 and Zone 2 if I need to, or probably use more in Zone 1 and leave some on Zone 2,
be a good idea.
so that way I can balance things out.
That,
but
that's what I was trying to.
that-
I know I had a hard time spitting it
No,
out.
no,
but
no.
You
So,
got where I was going.
But you have a very good point, and we're probably gonna, now that you say that, I'll probably do about $10,000 from Zone 2 and basically the rest of the funds from Zone 1. But this particular project, it just happens to be right in the smack of the middle of both zones. Actually, a
Perfect
good
spot.
portion. It is. Low Road, just so you know, Low Road, most of the Low Road is basically the boundary between Zone 1 and Zone 2. So anything along Low Road can get access to both zones. And this wasn't the case until the planning board converted all the different corridors I had into Corridor 1 and 2. So it's much easier now versus before. It was 3 zones, it was more complicated, so that simplified that a lot. But yes, to your point, and that's a good point, we'll
Well, I
probably.
just don't wanna
we'll
run one to
probably-
zero,
yes,
you know?
that's exactly it.
So-
So we'll probably tax Zone 1 a bit more than Zone 2, so we balance those things out, but yes.
Okay,
And as
perfect.
I said, I'm not gonna execute the PO and the change order until I hear from the DS saying, no, this is not good enough, we need to do something else. If they say this is good enough, make it finalized, all of a sudden, we're all set.
Okay.
So we'll see how good my writing skills are,
Maybe we can reach out to our state reps to talk to.
I know, right?
HDS.
I think they know how we operate. I'm trying not to put too much pressure because I already made some calls. So all I'm thinking is if it does happen, it's probably going to be like the engineering constitution. There'll be a nice big, I'll get it on one of those nice big frames there, and I'll put my 8-page memo, and you'll be like, this is what got us through.
Constitution?
The Constitution right here. I mean, it's more than I expected as far as like the efforts here, but it's what they want. So see if we can get there.
I wouldn't rely on the state rep. It's election year. He's not pulling any strings.
I just been waiting for Mr. Dima. He told me to hold off. So.
That's right. That's right.
To date, Mr. Deemer and myself have been talking DES. I think this is just an exercise in, I don't call it futility, but
Maybe it's a little bit of a shining of the light, right? So you understand what people go through when people ask for additional
On the other stuff?
documentation.
Oh, I do too. I'm on the other side, and it's just
Yeah, now
I'm
you're
the
getting on
reg-
the other side.
And it's been to your point, Mr. Chairman. It's been one of those weird situation when I have to explain a regulator that I'm a regulator myself,
No.
and I know exactly what they're going through. But at some point, you're gonna have to make a decision based on the information you have.
Yeah.
And I also told them if they say no, I'll see you in court. And I don't have a problem with that either. Have at it. But
It's not-
I think we're in a good place. I just want them to be comfortable making the decision, and it's the right decision to move forward with this.
Yeah.
And I don't want to burn any bridges because we are lining up to do the crossing with them,
Yep.
which is a big project, and they understand that. So we want to keep that going because it's beneficial to both the DS and the town to work this
Right.
through. So that's where we at.
All right. Any other questions or comments, motions? Selectman Vergaropoulos?
if I may, real quick,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair, I would actually add, if you can, Selectman Bergeropoulos, to authorize him to effectuate the agreement as necessary. All right, if we need to do this. Does that make sense?
So to approve amendment number 5 and authorize Director of Development Services, Mr. Dima, to effectuate the agreement up to $80,500, bringing the total contract amount to $414,900 for the efforts associated with additional efforts related to permit fees. Funding to come from corridor funds 2070-000-701, Zone 1 traffic improvements, and 2070-000-702, Zone 2 traffic improvements, as recommended by Planning Board and Development Services Director. I believe that was Mr. Vergaropoulos' motion.
I was.
Moved
Yeah, that's
and
exactly what he was saying.
seconded by Selectman Gesford.
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. All right, thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you.
Too.
Take care.
Next up, we have a grant opportunity. Chief Tice.
So,
morning again.
Yeah, I'll open with this.
All right.
Myself and Chief Tice talked about this last week. He'll get into the narrative, but just so the board understands, I did give him the authority to move forward on this. He'll explain further.
So it's our normal practice to come before the board before we apply for a grant. The Homeland Security grant opened end of June after your last meeting, and the application period closed last Friday before this meeting. So I did not have a chance to come before the applications were due, so I'm coming now to inform you that we did apply for the grant. The good thing about this grant is there's no match. So it's 100% funded if we are awarded the grant.
Love those grants.
Those are the best
Yeah,
kind.
Yeah, it's a very, very good grant. And what we did, and for every grant opportunity, when we go for them, we look at our needs and we try to match it to what's a high priority in the grant. So this project is one that hasn't really come up on the radar yet, but is one of those ones that's out there that we knew at some point we were gonna have to deal with if we were going to keep this kind of capability. So we applied for a side-by-side off-road vehicle. The current vehicle that we have was donated by the, if I remember correctly, it was a Polaris dealership before it was a Subaru dealership, and they donated the side-by-side in 2002, so it's 24 years old. And it's kind of a light-duty homeowner-type side-by-side. It's been good for what we use it for, but we've gotten a good life out of it. What we've applied for is to replace that, and it would be with a specific public safety type off-road vehicle. So it would be fit up with a forestry unit, so it would have some water and capability to fight brush fires off the road. Also have the ability to load a patient into a Stokes basket. So if we had somebody off in a wilderness area, instead of having to do a manual carry out, if we had access with this type of a vehicle, we'd be able to bring them out by a vehicle which would be much faster to get them out. This total value would be it's $80,611.54. Being a Homeland Security grant, we do qualify for it, but it always helps to work with PD, and the PD did agree to partner with us and signed a letter in support. So I appreciate them for doing that as well. But that's the project, and if we are awarded the grant, we will come back before we accept it and make sure the board is on board to accept the grant.
I appreciate you finding that and working on that. When Mr. Sorensen brought that forward, I thought that was a great idea. It's a no-brainer. It's 100%. So,
And that's what I thought too. And obviously, we like to come to you guys before we make these moves. But
anything to save the taxpayers some money, I think everybody here would agree.
Yeah.
Selectman Bergeropoulos.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, this is great. I hope we get it.
Hopefully,
You already answered my question. I was going to ask about the basket, which is perfect. My next question is, what are we doing with the old asset, or is it going to become a auxiliary asset?
we haven't made a decision on that yet because this just kind of came and it was like
I know,
rush and get it done. I don't foresee us keeping it as an auxiliary. I foresee, at least at this point, auctioning it off or something.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
That was actually my question. Is there any requirements with this grant? I know sometimes, depending on vehicle grants, they have a specific requirement. What happens to the old one, that you have to sell it, that you do something specific with it?
There's no ties to this one because it's not a replacement. This is a standalone, this type of vehicle.
Any other questions or comments? Motions?
No motion needed.
No motion, yeah.
No? All right.
Just an update.
All right, perfect. Next up, we have the IAFF negotiating team. I will turn it over to Mr. Sorensen.
Yeah, thank you. You can stick around, Chief, if you want. I don't think we'll need you, but you're here, you might as well stay, right?
Okay, I'll stay right here.
All right, next
Part of the
item. Next item is in relation to negotiating team for the, what's going to be the Professional Firefighters of Hudson, IAFF, Local 3154. Their contract is up at the end of this fiscal year, which means we're going to enter into negotiations. We have an August date set. If you look at our town charter, it tells us how we develop the membership of our negotiating team. That being said, there is one selectman as a liaison. The current liaison to the fire department is the chair. 75-2 of our ordinance says the selectman liaison shall be chosen by the chairman and ratified by the selectmen. Understanding that, if you're asking me, should the chairman be the liaison for negotiations, my answer would be yes. But with that, I'll give it to the board for discussion.
How does the board feel?
I don't have a problem with the liaison to the fire department being that person to negotiate, and it happens to be the chair. And the kind of confusion in my mind is that it shall be chosen by the chair and
Yeah.
ratified by the selectmen, and the motion is to approve. So I'm guessing that the motion is probably correct as it is, because I know you probably, as the chair, don't want to be selecting yourself.
No, in past practice, and I apologize to cut you up, but past practice I remembered was that the Board of Selectmen had always designated, it was typically in the past, always the liaison to that department for those specific negotiations. I actually sat on fire the first time around with Selectman Moran for that, and then I sat on the DPW for that one as well. And then I can remember a couple of the other selectmen. I think it was Selectman Roy at the time had sat on couple of the executive departments that she was liaison to. So I would agree. I think the wording's a little weird. Either way, I think that it's,
Yeah,
the choice is by the board.
And I participated with the police last time because I was a liaison at the time as well,
Yeah.
so.
So I'd be happy to do it if there's no objection, but ultimately it is the decision of the board.
I think it's perfectly appropriate for the direct liaison to be in the negotiation.
Yeah, and I just think for the purposes of, if nothing else, optics, if nothing else, then we do approve, so I'll make a motion to approve Selectman Dumont as the designated selectman liaison for contract negotiations with the professional firefighters of Hudson, IAFF local number 3154.
Second.
Motion by Selectman Gesford, seconded by Selectman Allen. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chief.
All right, have a good night.
Yeah, have a good night. All right, next up is the Policy Subcommittee. Mr. Sorensen.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. So Selectman Vergaropoulos referenced this a little bit in the beginning of the meeting. Policy Subcommittee, we were kind of hot and heavy earlier in the year, a little bit of a break because some other things were going on. I think we need to reconvene our meetings. Understanding that, I did reach out to the HR generalist and ask for 4 policies. You don't have them here because I'm just bringing these to the board tonight. What I want to do is give us a chance to look at them, redline them, and get them off to the Policy Subcommittee, which, as of right now, we have tentative meetings scheduled next week, at which time we come back. And I think I'll do the same thing I've done in the past. I'll put the documents right up there, you'll see the red lines, and then we can have a discussion.
Absolutely.
So these are the 4 that the HR generalist, Michelle Brewster, has chosen to bring forward. And with that, if the board so chooses, I don't actually need a motion, other than just consensus at this point.
Yeah, I think this was typical for how we handled it the last time, so I appreciate the heads up. But yeah, you guys
Consider yourself consented.
tear into those 4.
Back to work.
All right. So next up is the Zoning Administrator Interview Committee. Mr. Sorensen again.
All right, thank you. So, again, working with the HR generalist and looking at potential replacement for, and/or a new candidate for the zoning administrator position. We're going to kind of follow the same processes I think we did for the planner, for the finance director, and things of that nature. So if the board recalls that, we actually put 2 members on the final interview committee. I think the initial interview committee will be myself, the HR generalist, and probably Mr. Dima, as he oversees that department. And we'll bring the finalists to the next round, which will be more intense. We'll do some practicals as we've done in the past, hypotheticals, ask some in-depth questions. In this instance, I did comprise the motion of 2 selectmen. However, I should say in the past, we've done a selectman and then the board member, whatever the board might have been. So in this instance, it would be the zoning board. I'll put that out there for this board to consider how you want to comprise it. But basically, I'm looking for 2 people to appoint tonight, whether it's 2 selectmen and/or a selectman and a zoning board member.
Okay.
So I want to just tag along on that. I also had the same thought. I had it written down that I think it would be appropriate for either the chair or the vice chair of the zoning board to be a part of, and I guess I would leave it up to this board, whether it be the initial or the final interview committee.
Final.
I think that it would be important. That's what we did with the town planner. So it was the same thing. The chair
Yeah.
participated with that one. So with that, I would turn initially to Selectman Vergaropoulos. Obviously, you are the liaison to zoning. Is this something that you have interest in, or is there any other board members have interest in this?
I'm willing to take on the responsibility of, I'm willing to do it if we need it, not take on the responsibility, but
That's fair.
I'm willing to contribute to the team.
Yeah, I would do it as well, but I mean, I will defer to the zoning liaison.
We're gonna need to.
We're gonna do two and the chair or vice chair of the
Yes.
committee. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. Then
With
I'm,
me, buddy.
being with the land use, division, absolutely.
I have no objections. Selectman Allen?
Nope.
Good to go, all right. No, I think that that's fair, so the motion would be to appoint Selectman Vergaropoulos and Selectman Gesford, as well as Chair and/or Vice Chair of the ZBA, to the Zoning Administrator Interview Committee.
So moved.
Moved by Selectman Allen,
Second.
seconded by Selectman Gesford, and I guess just for a point of discussion, the reason why I chose that wording, I have not spoken to the Chair, or the Vice Chair for that matter, for availability, so I guess I'll leave that up to Mr. Sorensen to contact them to see who would be available to sit in on that, but that at least gives them the option, so. All righty. So we have motion seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. All right. Revenues and expenditures, Mr. Sorensen.
All right, so this is our update for the June FY '26 revenues and expenditures, otherwise known as the end of the year. So there we are at 100%. Right, we've completed the fiscal year. At the time that this report, I believe I put together, what did I say the date was on that? July 8th. So these numbers come from the July 8th report. General fund, 98%. We have the sewer fund at 73%, and we have the water fund at 97%. As part of that, we still have encumbrances within the general fund of a little over 710,000. Sewer fund, a little under 300,000, and the water fund, same thing, a little bit under 300,000. So all three look good, obviously, as we get to the end of the line and/or the finish line. Dig into the details a little bit and kind of break out the departments. You see the guardrail 100%, and how they lay out. So again, looks good if you knew nothing about it and you see the gaps under the green line and any bar that's above the blue line, I'd say we're in pretty good shape based off of that in totality. Overall, as I mentioned, we're at 98%. The encumbrance is 710. If you take the encumbrances out and we just look at expenditures only, at the time we ran this report, 89%. So that looks pretty good right now. Now, I must say, more debt came in after the fact because we still had payroll and some AP. So those numbers may change a little bit when I go to the budget committee in 2 weeks because I'll have more data. All right, sewer fund. I'll take a look at that. You can kind of see how billing, collection, operations, capital projects laid out. Revenue collected to date, 56%. We do have some work here, and when I mention that, because if you look overall at 73%, the revenue at 56%, you take it out. So 56 versus 57% expenditures only. Why are we in the 50s? Why aren't we closer to the hundreds? I think that's going to be how we develop that budget. We talked about that with the rates and everything else. So there'll be some work to do in there. Water fund, you can kind of see how those laid out. Operations, again, this is because we're obviously buying more water in supply. And operations-wise, we had a series of, actually, we had a lot of water main breaks this past winter as well. But the revenue looks great, 111%, so that's offsetting that, which is good. Overall, 97%. Encumbrances, as I mentioned, a little bit under 300,000, so you take those out, 96. So the balance is there, looks good. We do have work, as I mentioned, to do, and we'll be coming back with sewer and water rates for consideration on both of those and how we might move forward in the immediacy, maybe the next 3 to 5 years. And as the board's well aware, doing some different things within the water utility itself. General fund revenue snapshot, we should be at 100%. That's where we want to be. We're at 107. Motor vehicles was a little iffy middle of the year, but we recovered quite well. You can see our rebound. We cleared our mark and more versus last year. Meals and room came in. That's complete. We finished well there. And then these are just some other ones we keep an eye on: the highway block grant, cable fees, and investment interest, and ambulance. So they all came in pretty good. Cable fees, as you know, and this is just the portion to the general fund. By the way, when we developed the budget this year, because of the Warren article, that revenue no longer exists. It goes right over to HCTV. That comes right out of the revenue list. Dig into the details a little bit, motor vehicle revenue. So you can see in '24, the number we were at, a little bit over 6.4. It continues to grow each year, 6.8 in '25, our target this year. And that number was raised, by the way, it was 6.15. I think it's going to be 6.3 for '27. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Chair, but I think that's the number. But our target, we certainly cleared that. So 7 million versus 6.15. That's pretty good. That's obviously going to help with our revenue. Our treasurer, as I mentioned, has done a great job. She'll be here at the next meeting, by the way, to do her update. Barbara Booley. You can kind of see the numbers, how they compared to '24 and '25. Our target for this year was 375, and we finished at 455. So another excellent gain there. So those two that we keep an eye on finished very well. All right, large departments, the budget for Public Works, a little bit, let's just call it 6.3 million, all inclusive. He did an excellent job getting to the finish line. He was over budget right out of the gate after winter, well, all through winter, but he finished up quite well. So Mr. Tredowski, or Director Tredowski, did a good job keeping that in line. That number's going to come down a little bit because, as I mentioned, there's still some expenses to come in. Same thing for Chief Ko. Because of staffing, he was pretty much underwater all year, but he recovered as well. So he's in the negative 108, but you also had two major retirements in that department over the past year, Chief Dion and Animal Control Officer Janner as well. So those two actually combined almost meet that number. So he balanced out. He did a great job getting to the finish line too. Fire did an excellent job. I think the budget was better this year as far as the numbers were arranged versus last year. They're actually going to be returning some. So the fire chief did a good job there as well. I spoke to all three of these, the two chiefs and the director, because, at the 75, a three-quarter point mark, because of what was happening with staffing and winter and things of that nature, I asked them to keep a close eye on their budget. They did a great job taking this thing to the finish line and adjusting their operations. So I just can't thank them enough for obviously being team players with that. All right, summary. This is preliminary, unaudited. So what I give you is just numbers, as I mentioned, and Selectman Vergaropoulos will be at the Budget Committee meeting together. These numbers are going to change. So this presentation is going to be different from the one you're going to see in a week and a half. We're still closing out expenditures. Salaries appear to balance out. Encumbrances have all been secured. The board saw those. I think it's a little bit over 700, somewhere in there, outside of the major project ones. I'm going to say roughly 1% under budget. I don't have that total number, and that's a conservative number, by the way. I think we're going to do better than that, but I don't want you holding me to it. Let the auditors figure it out. That's their job. I would say I don't have any major concerns when they go to balance the books where we may finish. Questions?
That sounds like it was a good year.
Excellent job.
All right.
Alrighty, so next up is our budget directive for 2028. Looking ahead, Mr. Sorensen.
All right, so we talked about 26, we're entering 27, and we're looking forward to 28. So that's the beauty of working off of a fiscal year, I would say. So that's what we're here to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about FY '28, and I think the board kind of asked me. I think this will be my second budget. 27 would be the first one. Kind of just put some things out there, try to see how the board would react. A little bit more aggressive this year, and that I'm going to tell you what I think. And again, it's your decision, but I'm going to kind of get you into my world a little bit and why we should do it this way. But I work at the pleasure of this board, and you guys make those decisions. All right, we talked about this about a month ago when I came in with the preface in the beginning, right? Some of the things we're looking at and what the outlook is. It's difficult to predict it. You're looking out a full year, right? But if you try to do that, those are the numbers you're looking at. These are the big items that would make up the budget. You can see high risk, moderate pressure, stable, and uncertainty. I think what we have to keep a close eye on, and this is where we say, are we going to go 0%, 1%, 2.5%, 3%? It's going to be operating. All of these other items we cannot control. I think we have to make the proper adjustments within the budget itself. Those are true numbers. We make those numbers as true as we can. And then we focus on giving a directive to the department heads based off of your operating supplies, right? Now, that alone, if you look at the 28 outlook, it's going to be 2 to 5%. All right, that's based off of whatever predictors we have and we ran. So there's a huge range there as well. All right, the way we look at it is we look at out-of-budget requests. There's a little bit of data on out-of-budget requests, all right? So that is what was approved from 23 to 27. So those are your hard line numbers, all right? You saw what the board did. Now let's break into what would the increase be. Last year, you went 2.5%. So we talked about operating supplies. You did buy into my theory on let's take the utilities out, let's take the contracts out, let's take that stuff out that we know is gonna go up. We don't want that to hamper what our directive is. And then you guys went with a 2.5%. So we put that together. That's how the budget was put together. Given the current economic situation, what's happening, I'm not saying we should go there this year. I think we stay level funded, and it's 0%. Why do I say that? Because of these two numbers. You have 4.2 and 3.6. This is CPI and inflation. Now, with what's happening in the world, obviously that's a big driver. Those numbers could come down, but we don't know that. So as I mentioned, I think we stay level funded. We stay at 0, so whatever you have on that side, we leave it stable, but we obviously increase the items, as I mentioned, that we have to. If you're looking at out-of-budget requests, what should that number be? I would simply say the board entertains, or I direct the department heads to get me to a number around 400,000 just for consideration, okay? So we have a pile of projects and or wants up to 400,000. They come to this board, and I would recommend this board brings it back to 250. Okay, so your out-of-budget requests are at 250. So you're level funded, and your out-of-budget requests, which are wants. Those are wants, right? That's something that the departments want. And this is department-wide across the town, 250. It's not a big number, but last year it was only 237. Here's why. These will be warrant articles. I believe they will be, and they're going to be large numbers. Your municipal financial software, okay? That could be the first of 3 years. You're going to have the professional firefighters CBA, all right? Don't forget, you also have the additional 4 firefighters that were approved coming on full-time. Those will be in the budget. They need a new fire truck. Now, the interesting thing about the fire truck, and I'll get into the details with this at a future meeting when we do the kickoff, they need to order 2 years in advance. So we want to get the authority to spend, but the impact won't be probably until 29 or 30, because that's when the vehicle will be delivered. Talking to Mr. Dema, there'll be a big number here for County Road Bridge improvements, and that'll be participate. Mr. Tadowski, we have 1.1 million in the budget for paving. Do we want to ask the voters separately in a warrant article? Do you want to do another 150,000? Do you want to do another 250,000 for paving? I don't know. I don't know what that number is, but this may come forward. The extreme weather CRF that we funded last year, minimally, by the way, we didn't put a lot of money into that. I think you need to start building that. He's not going to have money too much left over to pad that based off of the warrant article. I know that the police chief still wants to look at the police prosecutor. And then, of course, I think the 2 CRFs that I would definitely focus on are drainage and property reval as well. Now, there's going to be some other warrant articles in here, and some of these maybe could go into the budget, but I just see these as big-ticket items. That's why I have them out here as warrant articles. You folks will make the decision on where they might live, whether they live in the operating budget or they live as warrant articles. Now, if they go back in the budget, then that 250 number I talked about is going to go up. All right? The CRFs obviously are standalone warrant articles, and then this is going to be a warrant article as well as the fire truck.
Right.
All right, let's talk about the schedule, because there's some changes here as well. One of the things the Budget Committee mentioned last year was they didn't like how we got, I think I want to say the month of November trickled into December, and there was just a lot of jumbling of meetings and between the town and the school. There was conversations about, we used to do this sooner in the year, why can't we do that now? So I'm willing to entertain that this year, setting the schedule, pushing it up a month. What does that mean? It means that the budget books will be to the Selectmen by September 4th. We talked about pushing these up. That means the whole month of September, we're going to be in meetings, and we're going to be talking about the budget. We have a regular meeting on the 8th, the first night of BOS budget review, and this could be subject to change, but this is wherever the department's plugged in right now. A lot of these I can cover, and I think we can move through. If we're going level funded, there's not gonna be a lot of discussion here unless you guys wanna make cuts, okay? Because these aren't huge budgets. There are some in here that are big, and we'll talk about that. The second night would be, much of it would be Public Works and Development Services. Now, Mr. Deem is obviously gonna cover the Soil and Water Fund as well, and Conservation Commission, so he'll cover all those. We'll have the library in there as well. That could change. I still haven't confirmed with the director on that. I think Director Peter will still be here. She would have been retired. I think she'll still be here for the budget process. And then the third night, obviously, two big hitters, police and fire, HCTV, which is just a courtesy to the board, and then the warrant articles. I would say during these meetings, I will do a general intro at the first meeting, but I think the board needs to dig into the details that night. So we need to look at the budgets and make decisions that night, which means cuts, adds, or whatever you want to do. Because last year, we kind of looked at them, and then we came back and we lost some time. So the meetings could be long, I guess is my point. We do have a regular business meeting scheduled for the 22nd, and we could continue budget into that meeting if we have to, perhaps warrant articles as well. And then if we need to go to the 24th, we could reserve that. Ultimately, the budget books get to the Budget Committee by October 7th, which is much sooner than we had last year. I did talk to Chairman Lawrence. I think they'd be more than happy if that's the case. Now, some of the things that will likely affect the budget, as I talked about, is health insurance. We're not going to have hard numbers for health insurance by this time. So we either leave it or we estimate it, and then we come back and we readjust it. The other wild card with health insurance is if we leave the health trust and we go a different route with a private, that could change as well. So there's a lot happening there, but I think ultimately, by the time we get to the books to the Budget Committee, the adjustments would be just that. It'd be health insurance or whatever it might be. The board would have made its decisions on the major items, including warrant articles. And I think at that point, we go and we move forward. We'll discuss revenues as well. As you know, the law has changed, so the Budget Committee will be responsible for the default budget. Now, that's something I need to talk to them about. The way that's worked here, obviously, we craft the default budget, you guys approve it. Now, would they be more hands-on? I don't know yet. We'll see what happens, but I think there'll be a quasi-partnership there, too. I don't know.
There's a subcommittee,
Yeah, so,
and the subcommittee was to determine the feasibility around it and start looking into what we could do. So how it's going to expand into the full committee remains to be seen at the moment.
and I'll pose some of those questions to them at the next meeting, and we'll see what they come up with for answers. But you can see the month of September is pretty dense. Just an informational slide here, and I get this information from our chief assessor. He talked a little bit about it tonight. Where does Hudson stand versus some of the other communities? This is based off of single-family home only, which value around, I'd say, $475,000 is kind of the median of what it might be. We do pretty good if you look at the taxes collected. And then, you plug in our tax rate, which was, I think, the FY27 budget now. We balanced it versus what the current tax rate. That's town only, of course. That's not the full tax rate of 1711, but that's just the town side. It stands well at 557. So some good information there as we continue to move forward. That's it. So those are my points. Those are my thoughts. You can either say, good job, Mr. Sorensen, but we're going to do it our way. I won't take any offense to that.
We could say both. We could say, good job, and we'll do it our way.
You could do that, too.
Because it is a good job.
Yeah, so let's jump in. That was the first thing I was going to say. I think that was excellent. The PowerPoint obviously helps a lot. So I think you captured a lot of what I think a lot of our discussions have been over the past couple of meetings. But I'll turn it over to board members. Where do we want to be at, and Selectman Berger-Apples?
Actually, I think yesterday I was talking with Mr. Sorensen, and I'm of the opinion we should, we had a really good year this, we worked through, as painful as it was, we made some good decisions last year to keep it tight, and we still allowed a little bit of growth. I think this year, we do exactly what Mr. Sorensen's saying. We do flat and then worry about out of budget, and then see what comes to the table, and then evaluate everything then. Let's try to keep it tight, at least for this next cycle. And then the next cycle after that, we can look at it again, just if we want to give them a percentage or stay flat again.
Selectman Gessford?
Yeah. I'm kind of thinking along the same lines. And I do, we gave 2.5 last year. This year, it's kind of like, okay, we got to tighten a little bit. The biggest concern I always have with these things is not to artificially constrain the department heads for needs. So we talk about, that the out-of-budget requests are once. I mean, I've seen in the past that sometimes they'll hold something back in the budget because of what we've directed them to do, and then when they come back to us with the once or the out-of-budget, then there's things in there that they should have put in the budget. So I mean, that's really, I think, from my perspective, that's Mr. Sorensen, you're going to have to work with the department heads on that to make sure that they get in the budget the things they have to have, the things that affect public safety, the things that are going to be necessary, and they don't try to hold anything back, and then try, in order to appease us, and then we put it back in anyway. So that's my concern is, and sometimes you have to bite the bullet a little bit for those needs, and so I just want to make sure that we're giving the message, a consistent and clear message, that if you have an absolute need, something that you need, absolutely have to have in your budget, and maybe it pushes things a little bit, bring it to us. Don't throw it outside the budget and then ask us to try to pull it back in. And that way, that'll also help protect that $250,000 or $400 that you're going to come to us with. So we're not going to just take part of that and just have it be, we got to put it right back in anyway. So given the directives or given the suggestions that you have for us, and I'd say with those concerns, I guess I'll say, I'm good with that.
I appreciate that, and I think you hit the nail on the head. And I know Mr. Sorensen touched on it briefly too. Obviously, the Board of Selectmen has the full authority to change that as we go along. As I know that we've worked on in the past where we've had a couple department heads that even with a directive of 2.5, or I think the previous year was 1.5 or 2 or something, but we said no, that should be in the budget, and we rolled that in a couple times. So I definitely think everybody's going to have to keep their eye on those things and make sure that we're balancing it. I'm happy to see this. I think that what this does clearly is it tells the people who are nervous about taxes that we're taking it seriously. However, with the out-of-budget request and the list of other expenses, I think people understand that we're spending money on what we truly do need. We've heard from Mr. Sorensen and some department heads on those needs. We heard from last year, we've heard through this year, so I think we can balance that pretty well. I know, I try to bundle it all together because even though we may have a 0% increase or a level-funded budget, well, we just listed off, the fire contract, we know we're not going to want to go without a contract. The municipal software, we're going to be spending a significant amount of money, or asking, I should say, the taxpayers, if we can, absorb this.
Right, there's some big ones there.
And ultimately, those then flow into our next year's budget. So I think this will be a great start, and I'm looking forward to it. So, Selectman Allen?
I have nothing to add. I agree what has been said here tonight.
All right. So with that, do we have anybody want to make a motion?
I just got one more thing.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Selectman Verderopoulos.
I would just say, along the lines of what Selectman Gessford was saying, when we please inform the department heads when they bring us their list. I think it's fine if they give us a want and needs list, rather than us trying to decide it, figure out what's a want and a need. Have them deliver it like that, a wants and a need, and have good backups so we can really dissect it and really understand it. Right? Because if it's just a one-pager and there's nothing to back it up, it's probably going to get pushed lower to the bottom of the pile, But if you got the supporting documents your due diligence, you know, we're gonna be able to make a better educated decision.
Yep. Yeah, we'll kind of build it like we did last year, separate, separate index, so all the details in there, right? So you're
No,
not
I-
flopping
yeah.
through the big book and
Summaries,
Yeah,
and, yeah, summarize their,
reference it real quick.
give us, you know, the Reader's Digest version up front in terms of what's
Yep.
important in there, and, you know, the big hitters, and then we can dive in as much as we need to.
Okay.
Having said that,
Selectman Allen?
Go ahead.
were you gonna make the motion?
I was, but,
Go ahead.
okay. I motion to direct department heads to submit level-funded budgets exclusive of labor and benefits, and as presented here, for their proposed fiscal year 2028 budgets. Any other major items or new initiatives, moreover, warrant articles shall be submitted separately for the board's consideration, further to adopt the budget scheduled as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion by Selectman Allen, seconded by Selectman Gesford. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. We're looking forward to the presentation to the Budget Committee and see how they like that new schedule, so.
I think they'll be very pleased with it.
I would hope
do?
so. I mean,
They don't ever seem to be pleased about a lot.
Though that may be true, I do believe, like, they made a request for us to try to swing the timeline
And we want
back,
to, and we want to cooperate.
and we're,
Yeah.
and we're working
Yeah.
Try
with
it.
them. So, like, hopefully the schools do the same, and then we can all work together and get there.
Yeah.
all right. Next up is the Selectman Liaison Reports. Selectman Gregoropoulos?
Sorry.
Nope, sorry.
Currently, I have, I don't have much. I had one, I wasn't here for the last selectman meeting, and I had one zoning meeting before that, but nothing major came out of it. And, yeah, right now, I got much.
All right. There'll be a lot more coming on your plate soon enough.
Yep, I know.
All
I
right.
got a big plate.
Selectman Gesford?
Let's see. We have, for planning, there was a meeting last week. We have a workshop this week, where on Thursday we'll be working on looking at the regulations and zoning and a few things that really we can't probably accomplish well in a meeting. So we'll be having that workshop on Thursday evening of this week. As far as library is concerned, I think it was mentioned a little bit earlier. The only thing, there is a meeting next week, next Wednesday night, is that, as people probably know, the director is going to be retiring, so they are putting out the notice, starting the process, so that there's, you know, there's a little tiny, maybe not much overlap, but at least there won't be a gap. That's the goal, is to have the new director there when Linda Peel retires. So they're working through that process. I've been impressed with how they've been working. There's some really good board members, very passionate people on that committee, and so they're doing well. As for rec, I don't really have a lot of rec updates. The summer program is well underway. Kids are doing great, having fun. Counselors are doing a great job, and so it's all moving forward well there. And as we all know, for the rec department, that's one of the revenue generators that helps a lot. So other than that, I think that's about all I have.
Selectman Allen?
I have nothing on the school board front. They canceled the last meeting, and then the Benson's Park Committee meets this Thursday.
All right. So just a couple things. Yeah, I did fill in at the planning board meeting. Wasn't a whole lot going on there. It was a pretty light schedule. Basically some administrative decisions, discussion over the corridor funds, as Mr. Demas spoke to earlier today. Conservation Commission met on Monday, or yesterday I should say. They had some discussion on a possible land donation off of Ledge Road that they're going to be looking at. They also went over some discussion for their bylaws that they're working on, some updates to go through that, as well as they're interested in getting a tent set up, which I believe I just got confirmation that they might be able to do that for Old Homes Day. And I was going to extend that out now that we know that's a thing, that's one committee. I don't know if Benson Park, Selectman Allen would be interested, or if another selectman has any department or committee that would be interested in sharing some time over there. I'm sure that the Conservation Commission would be amenable to that, so they don't have to have somebody there every single day. They could maybe operate with some other groups. So they wanted me to make sure that I extended that offer. And that was just about it. I'm trying to think. One thing I did want to bring up to this board and just kind of put on your radar, and I'd like to make sure we have the discussion with Selectman Jacoby, is Conservation Commission over the past 5 or 10 years has done some significant land purchases. It took about 3 decades to build up a little over $1 million in a fund to purchase land for conservation. That's been depleted down to about $700,000, I think, with some really good purchases. They're looking for the L-chip, which this board obviously recommended, and a purchase of a piece of land off of Wasson Road. With that, if we get the grant, fantastic, that's a 50% match. If not, that's about a $400,000 expenditure, still working on the final numbers. If that went through, that would deplete down to $300,000. They have other land that they want, and obviously these recommendations come in front of this board, and there was some conversation over what that number may look like. Some conservation members could see it going to 0 and just using that up. I prefer to think that you might want to leave a balance in there. Ultimately, obviously, though, as being only one member, I wanted to put it to the board, and I will fill in Selectman Jacoby to see maybe what your guys' thoughts are, so I could give them some kind of direction to say, this is how the board feels this fund should be used. Again, we don't need a decision tonight, but I just wanted to put that on your radar to see where everybody might be at on. But there was some significant discussion, so I figured I'd bring it forward here. But other than that, that's all I have.
Can I say
Selectman
one more
Gessler.
thing before Selectman, or before Mr. Sorensen?
I got one too.
There was, in case anybody was wondering if the town did anything with regard to the 250th, there actually was a ceremony last Saturday over at the Hills House that was co-sponsored by the Historical Society and the American Legion. It really wasn't, I don't think it was well known or advertised, but there was a ceremony over there. So we did acknowledge and celebrate that. We didn't have much attendance, but we did do something for it in case anybody was out there and was wondering if the town was going to do anything. So for things like this in the future, we'll try to make sure that we get them advertised a little bit better. I think it was kind of a last minute decision, so our mea culpa on that, but just wanted to let you know.
Some perhaps you had something else?
Thank you. Just, you were talking and then you reminded me, zoning, we're also working on amending the bylaws and updating them.
Fantastic.
When you said that, I was like, oh yeah, that was the one thing that happened. That was it.
I'm glad to hear that they reviewed that when I was the liaison for it, and I think that those bylaws, just like we do, should at least be looked at or entertained on a yearly basis to make sure it's working out, so.
Thanks.
And there is one other thing, happy early birthday to Selectman Gessford. Hopefully you enjoy your birthday, so I figured
birthday.
I'd throw that out there in the public airways, so maybe everybody will blast you.
Geez, thanks.
So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Sorensen.
All right, quick update, town administrator report. Jim Paquette became a certified public manager. I think at this point, we have 2, Jim Michaud, our chief assessor, who was there earlier, and Deputy Chief Paquette. This is actually, this isn't easy to get. You work through the state to do this. A lot of these courses they take, leadership type, management type courses, based in principle on public administration and things of that nature. So kudos to him. It's not easy to do, and he was awarded his CPM, so he is now a certified public manager. Hudson PD finished up their youth academy this past month. They had quite a bit of turnout. As you can see, the kids that went through the program. Chief said it was very productive. Kids learned a lot, and who knows, maybe you'll have some future patrol officers, detectives, and maybe even a chief of police in there at some point. Speaking of libraries, this is interesting. We had our library meeting, Selectmen Gessler, was that last month or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't long. I got out of there a little early, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go by the Hudson Community Recreational Park to see if anybody is using those pickleball courts. And I was blown away. The courts were packed. There was probably 6 to 8 people on the other side of the fence there on the left waiting to get on the court. Parking lot was full, there was nowhere to park, and it was amazing. So
That's awesome.
they're getting used, and the people love them. So that was an excellent project, and yes, Mr. Chair.
So one question, so just, I'm sure everybody's seen the stuff out on Facebook. So we don't have a zip lining course going in at the.
I was just thinking about that.
Industrial Park. I just wanted to
And if you
make
notice,
sure it wasn't missing something,
the
but
location changes daily.
I know.
So, yeah, so the board has not made any decisions on phase two. We haven't even had any discussions
Right.
on phase two. Right now, it's pickleball courts, and that's it.
Thank you.
Benson Park, they're going to be, and Susan Clement asked me to bring this to the board's attention, on July 25th, so it's right around the corner, they're going to do the unveiling of their granite posts that were donated. The board took action on this earlier in the year. The board's invited, so 10 a.m. on July 25th. You'll see the unveiling of the monuments. This is a combination of the grant that was donated and the plaques that Jack Madden secured, and they'll be in and around the different assets within the park themselves. So I'll extend this. Actually, I'll have Laurie put this invitation back out to the folks as well. And if you can make it there that day, fantastic. Other than that, you'll see them at some point, I'm sure. Hudson Grange Awards. So we had they do this every year. Beth Hyde from Hudson Memorial School got an award. Tim Malley, Community Citizen Planning Board Chair. And then we had Jared Neff, Master Patrol Officer for PD, and Michael Lewis, Firefighter / AEMT. So congratulations to them for getting the Hudson Grange Awards for the year. Finance Group, talking about our working group. This is out. So go online if you want to see it. It's 120 pages or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. So if you want to spend some time reading it, have at it. It's been advertised. We've already had different firms reach out to us. You can see it's a tight schedule, but we're tracking right with the budget year. So the heavy lifting for this group hasn't even started yet. If the document was a heavy lift, we have a much taller task in the evaluations that are going to be coming in and how we put that together and have it ready to go. So this board can actually sign off on what we believe would be the proper vendor and what we might put up on a warrant article. That's it. The only thing I want to add is I don't have it in there, but CPC&H, their rates came out. Their basic rate is 14.949 cents per kilowatt, and Eversource default rate is up to 14 cents. So it's still low. There's a difference there. We are still in the aggregate with CPC&H. We should be able to pull out of that, as you know, hopefully by year's end. I'm still working with our attorney on that. I know other towns are as well. I don't have any more updates other than that, and as I get those, I'll bring it to the board's attention. One last thing, my office did receive this certificate, and this is from the Veterans Group, where we celebrated the FNUFs, and this is up in Manchester at their park, Gulf Wars and War on Terror Memorial. So they're thanking, this is the Manchester Veterans Council, I should have said in the beginning, the Board of Selectmen for contributing. I know the FNUFs family was very excited with the whole process. So this is great, and we'll keep this either upstairs in the board's area or down here, one or the other, to commemorate that special day.
I have to say, I was up there a couple weeks ago, and we made a point to go over to Veterans Park and look at it. There's actually two different.
There is, and and the one I think, because there was two, we actually asked them that. It's right in the center.
It's right in the middle.
Right in the middle, right in the monument. It's fantastic.
Yeah, so I thought that was great. I was glad I got a chance to see it.
Awesome, fantastic.
Yeah, I did a great job. Come on, really nice up there.
Perfect. All right, thank you, Mr. Sorensen.
Thank you.
So next up, we have our non-public sessions. First up, I will have you read number 1 into the record.
All right, buckle up. We have a lot to cover here. All right, motion number 1. Section 1, to amend the motion made at the Board of Selectmen meeting on June 3rd, 2026. The motion was made by Selectman Jacoby, seconded by Selectman Allen, to hire Colin O'Brien for the position of firefighter / paramedic in the fire department at the contracted salary of $38.60 per hour, step 6, rate effective as of July 1, 2026. This assignment will be a non-exempt position in accordance with the International Association of Firefighters Local 3154. Adding that on Tuesday, June 30, 2026, We were informed by Mr. O'Brien that he has decided to decline the job offer for employment with the Town of Hudson.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Selectman Gesford,
Second.
seconded by Selectman Vergaropoulos. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed, motion carries 4-0. Next up.
Session 2, to promote Master Firefighter / AEMT Adam Labor to the position of Lieutenant / AEMT at an hourly rate of $40.81 per hour. That's step 3. A non-exempt position in accordance with the International Association of Firefighters Local 3154, as recommended by the Fire Chief.
So moved.
Motion by Selectman Allen,
Second.
seconded by Selectman Vergaropoulos. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 4-0. Number 3.
Session 3, motion to promote Master Firefighter / AEMT Jeffrey Ojiba to the position of Lieutenant / AEMT at an hourly rate of $40.81 per hour. Step 3, a non-exempt position in accordance with the International Association of Firefighters Local 3154, as recommended by the Fire Chief.
Moved.
Motion by Selectman Vergaropoulos,
Second.
seconded by Selectman Gesford. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 4-0.
Session 4, motion to promote firefighter / paramedic Christopher Prever to the position of lieutenant / paramedic at an hourly rate of $38.83 per hour. Step 1, a non-exempt position in accordance with the International Association of Firefighters Local 3154, as recommended by the Fire Chief.
So moved.
Motion by Selectman Gesford.
Second.
Seconded by Selectman Allen. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed, motion carries 4-0.
Session 5, motion to amend the motion made at the Board of Selectmen's meeting of June 23rd, 2026. The motion was made by Selectman Allen, seconded by Selectman Jacoby, to hire John Campbell for the position of custodian with the Town of Hudson at a starting rate of $24.67 per hour, corresponding to Step 3 of the Teamsters Local 633 Hudson Support Staff Collective Bargaining Agreement. This position is classified as non-exempt. Adding that on Wednesday, July 8th, 2026, the HR generalist was informed by Mr. Campbell that he has decided to withdraw his acceptance of the custodian position with the Town of Hudson.
Moved.
Moved by Selectman Vergaropoulos, second
Second.
by Selectman Ben Allen. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 4-0.
Session 6, motion to direct the town administrator to explore the feasibility of leasing space at the Oakwood facility as a temporary solution for location of the Hudson Community Food Pantry.
So moved.
Motion by Selectman Gesford,
Second.
seconded by Selectman Vergaropoulos. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 4-0.
Session 7, motion to authorize the town administrator and chairman to engage in discussions with the Hudson Police, Fire, and Town Supervisors Association on the newly created position of Deputy Police Chief. Moreover, recognition, including any resolution thereof, to be brought back to the board for consideration.
So moved.
Motion by Selectman Allen,
Second.
seconded by Selectman Vergaropoulos. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 4-0.
Session 8, motion to move to unseal the Board of Selectmen non-public session meeting minutes for item 3A of the May 12, 2026 meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Selectman Gesford,
Second.
Selectman Allen seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 4-0.
Session 9, motion, move to unseal the Board of Selectmen non-public session meeting minutes for item 3B of the May 12th, 2026 Board of Selectmen meeting.
Moved.
Motion by Selectman Vergaropoulos, seconded by
Second.
Selectman Gesford. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 4-0.
Session 10, motion, move to unseal the Board of Selectmen non-public session meeting minutes for item 3C, the May 12th, 2026 Board of Selectmen meeting.
Moved.
Motion by Selectman Vergaropoulos,
Second.
seconded by Selectman Allen. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 4-0.
That concludes the motions from entered into non-public.
Motion to adjourn.
Everybody's favorite motion by
Second.
Selectman Gesford, seconded by Selectman Allen. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 4-0. We are out at 8:55 PM.
You got